guys, welcome back to another video. We have lots to talk about today, from Xbox news to Nintendo news, and also the announcement from Housemarque, which probably won't be what people were expecting. But before we get into all of this, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you do like daily gaming news content, and check out my Spotify. The link is in the description, where you can get the audio version of this show a couple hours after the YouTube release. But the biggest thing that did occur yesterday was the official announcement for the Xbox Games Showcase. It is going to be airing on June 9th, followed by a Call of Duty Direct. They put out this social media post saying Xbox Games Showcase Sunday, June 9th. And then beside it, they had a picture, and they said followed by a redacted showcase, but everybody can tell by the picture and the logo and everything that it is Call of Duty, and that makes complete sense. Now that Call of Duty is a first-party Xbox game, it is always going to be a huge highlight and a huge part of the Xbox showcases going forward, letting people know about the new iteration of the game, probably letting people know about it coming to Xbox Game Pass. So there's going to be lots of exciting things from this Xbox showcase. And if you remember the last 2 years, I thought they did a great job. They showed off a ton of games, and I thought that it was going to be hard for them to really surpass the amount of content that they had shown off in the last couple of years. But obviously now with ABK, this is more than likely going to be the biggest Xbox showcase of all time. The question is, how much stuff are they going to stuff into the show, and how long is the show going to be? So June 9th will be the Xbox showcase, and we have some more information here from The Verge in terms of when we can expect releases and games that will be coming out this year. It does really start to sound like 2024, the second half, is going to be absolutely insane from the Xbox first-party games output. But here's what The Verge says. Microsoft is only teasing the Call of Duty Direct as the next installment of the beloved franchises, but sources familiar with the company plans tell me, so this is Tom Warren who is writing this, that it is indeed Call of Duty, and it says this will be the first Xbox showcase featuring games across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios. So just think about how crazy that is, the amount of studios and the amount of IPs and games all under Xbox now. Every showcase is going to be jam-packed with content. It says, I understand Microsoft is currently planning to announce a new Gears of War game, which is something we've heard in the rumors. And it's, for me, with Call of Duty, with Activision Blizzard, with Bethesda, everything in there, Gears of War is still the game I am most excited for, most hyped for, so I can't wait to see that. They say the showcase will also include a number of release dates for upcoming Xbox games like Microsoft's Flight Simulator 2024, Avowed, and Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. So that's great. We are now going to see when we are going to be able to play these games. And just from that short list there, this isn't including Call of Duty, but those games that he just mentioned, that alone coming in 2024 is still spectacular for the second half of the year. He says, we'll likely get a date of when the Shattered Space expansion is coming to Starfield, and we already know it is coming in the fall of 2024, as Todd Howard revealed this during his interview on the Kind of Funny Games cast. And he does say here, with Avowed and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 likely to follow in November, and Indiana Jones in December. So just a little bit of tidbit of information here as to when we can expect these: the holiday season, the Christmas season, the last 4 months of the year are going to be just absolutely insane when you think about Indiana Jones, Avowed, Shattered Space expansion. Like, it is going to be crazy with the amount of content that Xbox gamers are going to be able to get within Xbox Game Pass and on the Xbox ecosystem. And then you add that to all of the other games that will be coming out from third parties during that time frame. Backlog will never, ever be completed for a very long time, at least for me, because I have so many things that I want to play through. Still even playing through Unicorn Overlord, like 50 hours into it. So I just got so many things I want to get through and play and finish and jump into before this part of the year hits, so I can really focus on those games. But this is extremely exciting. I can't wait for this showcase. Sunday, June 9th. And more likely than not, I will be streaming it. So make sure to stay tuned and come hang out and watch that with me, because I think it will be the biggest and potentially the best Xbox showcase that they've ever had, which would be crazy because I've said that over the last 2 years that was the best show. I did not expect them to be able to top it, and we're going to see this year if they can do it once again. Now, when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, there was an announcement, very small announcement. This one is probably going to not excite that many people. One of the smaller announcements that we've gotten this year from Xbox. And when you hear about the showcase coming and all the games that are going to be coming out, you kind of can see that they are going to have a huge lineup going forward. So they have a little bit of a smaller announcement here. And it's 4 games. You have available today, which was in the previous announcement, Have a Nice Death. So I guess 5 games if you include that, which is cloud, console, and PC. You have Tomb Raider Definitive Edition coming May 2nd for cloud, console, and PC. If you haven't played Tomb Raider yet, go check it out. The trilogy that Crystal Dynamics created was phenomenal, and you have the best version here with the Definitive Edition. You have Kona 2 Broom, cloud, console, and PC coming May 7th, and they say continuing the interactive tale of Kona. The title offers players an immersive first-person narrative experience with unique storytelling mechanics. Explore the rustic setting of a rural mining village of northern Canada in 1970 and uncover the mystery of the Bizarre Mist. You have a big day one game, I think, actually, for a lot of people. People love their cat games. Let's just be honest. They love their cat games. You have Little Kitty Big City coming to cloud, console, and PC on May 9th. Available day one in Xbox Game Pass. It's an open world playground. It says you're a curious little kitty with a big personality on an adventure to find your way back home. So if you like cat games, go check that one out day one. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons coming May 14th. Phenomenal game. If you haven't played the Brothers game, it is a co-op game. So very, very cool. And it says here you guide 2 brothers on an epic fairy tale journey from visionary Swedish film director Joseph Fares, who, as we know, phenomenal with these types of games, with the game of the year of It Takes Two. And this is one of his previous releases, which is great. So those are the games coming. And then there's also things like Star Wars Jedi Survivor that was launched into Game Pass about a week ago or so. So those are the 4 games. Not a big announcement for Game Pass, but there will be some stuff there that people will be jumping in and playing. Now, when it comes to other first-party Xbox games launching onto other platforms like Nintendo and the PlayStation 5, Hi-Fi Rush has officially here been rated for the Nintendo Switch in Europe. So they say it's the first acknowledgement of the much rumored version. It says, this marks the first acknowledgement of a Nintendo Switch version of the game from an official gaming body. PEGI, which is the Pan-European Game Information, is the official rating board for software in Europe, and a Nintendo Switch version of the game has been rated, strongly suggests that a release is imminent. So if you have been waiting to play Hi-Fi Rush on your Nintendo Switch, I think this really does kind of point to the release of it coming soon. The big question here is, how will this game run? How will this game look? Obviously, it will be the inferior version versus the other versions that are out there with the less powerful hardware of the Nintendo Switch, but it's a great game. So if you have a Nintendo Switch and you've been waiting for it, and when or if this does officially get announced with a release date, then you're going to want to play, because it is a phenomenal game. Okay, let's jump over here to some sad news, some bad news here from Studio Koken, which has laid off the entire team. If you've ever played the Deliver Us to Mars games, that's what they are known for. But they say here, in a statement published on X, CEO Koen Dietman and managing director Paul Dietman said Netherlands-based studio was forced into the decision after exhausting all possible options for completing planned projects or taking on other work. Now, this comes after the fact that they had laid off people. So they had laid off 4 of its core team of 19 back in February, and nobody really knew if that meant more layoffs were going to be coming. And clearly that is the case. They say this: heartbroken. We've had to lay off our team at Koken because of nothing substantial materializing directly after our visit to GDC. We unfortunately exhausted all our possible options for publishing, work for hire, and co-development. Says it is our utmost priority to make sure our lovely team finds a new home somewhere else. So you have any positions available in programming, tech art, porting, level design, audio, animation, production, office management, contact us so that we can introduce you to the very best people who have been at the heart of Koken over the past 10 years. And they say, Paul and I are heavily beat, but far from beaten. It's our personal mission to rebuild Koken brick by brick, like we've done before, in the name of our people and to continue the legacy of our games. Personally, we are preparing a Kickstarter soon for a much anticipated Deliver Us Home. This is one of the small steps for Koken, one giant leap for delivering us home, a game we will build for you and with you. So they aren't dead completely. They just don't have any more employees, and they're going to start again from the very bottom and try to build this studio up so that they can continue to create their games. Unfortunate. I mean, this has been what is happening within the gaming industry across many different studios with layoffs and canceled IPs. I guess the positive side of this is they're still there. They're still going to be making Deliver Us Home, and they aren't going to be canceling the project, at least as of right now. So hopefully when that Kickstarter does go up and people want that game, they will be supported for the content that they are making. Okay, let's talk Housemarque, because yesterday we talked Housemarque, and I was pretty excited that we were finally going to be getting an announcement from a first-party PlayStation studio. I was hoping it was a new game from Housemarque after Returnal, and unfortunately that isn't the case. To me, this is kind of just another disappointing 2024 moment for PlayStation's first party. I'm assuming in 2025 it is going to be loaded with first party PlayStation stuff, so I guess that's the positive to look forward to. But as of right now, there really isn't anything coming from them that we know of, and I was hoping this would be the first kind of domino to fall, where maybe this was a game that was in the works and it was way closer to be released and we were going to get it this holiday season. But unfortunately, the announcement that Housemarque had yesterday was Dark Horse Comics announcing Returnal Fallen Asteria. Yes, that is correct. They did not announce a video game. They announced a comic. So if you're a fan of Returnal, and I like comic spin-offs, like I love my Gears comics. So maybe if you're a huge fan of Returnal and you want it more lore, you want more content for the series, this is a way to get into it. And this announcement may be for you, but for me, pretty disappointing. But that was the announcement that we talked about yesterday that I actually thought could have been something cool that came from Housemarque. Okay, let's talk Square Enix. Square Enix, they've been very off, in my opinion, with a lot of their business decisions, and it seemingly has kind of been downhill for them when they ever come out with reports, financial reports, and just reports about their business going forward. And it seems like we have some more bad news here. It says Square Enix looks to have canceled games, stating it will be more selective in the future. Now, that headline alone isn't surprising with the state of the industry. As I've mentioned many times on this channel, that if you just kind of look what is going on, publishers are going to be far more conservative when it comes to the risks that they take. They need to be able to make their money back, and they need to be able to guarantee that the game that they put hundreds of millions of dollars into will give them a good ROI. And you kind of see this happening here with Square Enix as well. It says here, during a meeting held on March 27th, the details of which were shared on Tuesday, the company decided that it would revise the group's approach of the development of high definition games with the intention of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. So smaller titles probably, or more risky titles probably are getting canned, and they're going to focus on the stuff that they know will sell, things like Final Fantasy. They say the publisher says that following this evaluation, it expects to report content abandonment losses of approximately 22.1 billion yen, which is $141 million, and suggests that several projects have been canceled or rescoped amid a challenging games market. So, I mean, again, not surprising. When you're a major publisher, you've been making moves, you've been locking games with exclusivity deals, and you just aren't making the ROI that you need to make. They're going to be looking at focusing specifically on the titles that will make them the most money at the end of the day, and just less risks so that they can go to their investors. And when they have these calls, when they have these meetings, and show them these massive gains, versus having some projects that don't do very well, some losses, and then that ROI being smaller than it needs to be. And this is, again, what we've been seeing across the industry. We're going to see this not just from Square Enix, we're going to see this from pretty much everybody. I mean, I think PlayStation is going to be doing something similar to this, which they've kind of already done when you see them do their remakes and everything. And it's just unfortunate at this point, but at the same time, I actually am hoping that some of these publishers take a step back and release some smaller games with smaller budgets, where they are just more gameplay focused. Take some of that budget away from the crazy cinematics that a lot of these games do have. Make these really fun gameplay focused game, smaller in the development costs. And I think there's a chance that there could be some nice bounce back and some cool shorter games coming out for everybody to play in the future. But that's where Square Enix is right now, being more selective about their future. And finally, went off here with some Nintendo stuff. Three things here. that we got more information about. The Nintendo Switch 2, been in the rumors, should be coming out next year, early next year, with hopefully an announcement relatively soon, maybe in the next few months. I'm very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, as I love my Switch. I love Nintendo games, so I'll definitely be keeping my eyes out on this and be talking a lot about it. But we have more information here about the Switch being backwards compatible and having 4K. So take this with a grain of salt, because these are just rumors, but it says rumors surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2 continue to come out. This time, the information from peripheral maker Mobipad about the Nintendo Switch 2's Joy-Con controllers, backwards compatibility plans, and 4K resolution support. They say, first, as a follow-up to reports about the new Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons that would use magnets to connect to the console, Mobipad has more information about the controllers and what it all means. They say, in the process of developing the next generation console controller, Mobipad has also acquired a lot of first-hand information about the Switch 2, and now we're here to share it with everyone. So they say magnetic suction is achieved through electromagnetic suction technology controlled by electric current. So that's kind of how those Joy-Cons are going to work. One of the things that I'm kind of looking forward to, just to see how easily they snap on and off. Obviously not too easy, so if you're playing, they just fall off, but get rid of the rails, make it more intuitive, make it more modern. I think that'll be a nice upgrade. Then they also say, in addition to how they connect to the system, the new controllers will feature metal SL and SR buttons, as well as a third button on both the left and right side. So they're increasing, I guess, the premium feel of the Joy-Cons. And they say last gen Joy-Cons, the company says will still work on the new system in a wireless capacity. So that's a good thing. That's great. This is following in the footsteps to what we have seen this gen, at least with the Xbox peripherals, where you could use your Xbox One controller on an Xbox Series X and S. Very smart here by Nintendo to do the same thing with their Joy-Cons, even though they will just be wireless. The fact that you can still use them for multiplayer and stuff, that is very smart, because with 100+ million Nintendo Switches out there, there's no way in hell they're going to be abandoning those customers for a long time. The Nintendo Switch, the first version, even when the Nintendo Switch 2 is out, I think is going to be supported for a relatively long time. There's just way too many consoles out there for them to abandon it. So they're probably here thinking, we have to incentivize the current Nintendo Switch players to want to be able to buy a Switch 2, not only with the fact that there will be better looking games, but that they will be able to actually use everything they've invested in with their Joy-Cons on the current console. So very smart there by them, again, if this is true. Now, aside from the controller news, Mobipad also gave out more information about the new Switch console, saying that the Switch 2 will support backwards compatibility for physical games, allowing original Switch games to be played on the new console. And again, smart move here, as the same reason as I previously said. The question I have, though, what does it mean for the digital stuff? I'm sure it will also include the digital games as well, although they just say physical, but that means it will probably be a cartridge entry point here for the original Nintendo Switch games, unless the Switch 2 games come on basically the exact same style of cartridge. So good to know. I have a large Switch physical collection. Knowing that I will be able to play them all on my Switch 2 makes it a far easier buy for me. It says, it's also said that the Switch 2 will support 4K resolution when docked, which is great. And then in handheld mode, the console will feature an 8-inch display with a 1080p resolution. So take all of this with a grain of salt, but that all sounds great to me as an upgrade to the current Nintendo Switch. And if it is all true, it will make it an easy purchase for me. If you're getting 4K when docked, 1080p handheld, new, more premium feel Joy-Cons, hopefully they have Hall effect thumbsticks and there's no Joy-Con drift, because that was a terrible thing with the first Nintendo Switch. But all very exciting stuff for me when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now we just need to get that official announcement. And then we have this. This is an interesting topic, in my opinion. It really shows the difference between Nintendo and the other platforms, and why I think as a business, when it comes to Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo, it's hard to compare them. Nintendo is in a category of its own because of the perception that gamers have. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, a phenomenal game on the Nintendo GameCube. If you haven't played it, go check it out. It is 60 FPS on the Nintendo GameCube, but the new version here that Nintendo here is remaking for the Nintendo Switch, is going to be 30 frames per second. So first of all, there is some new content. They say there's a new partner character, a side story with Peach, and various environmental puzzles. The first completely new thing you can hear in the trailer is remixed music. So all this stuff is great. They're bringing new content into the game itself. But then they say here, as various previews have confirmed this morning, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door will run at 30 FPS on the Switch. While 30 FPS for a game such as Paper Mario isn't the worst thing in the world, the GameCube original ran at 60 FPS. It will be jarring for returning fans. So that is true. I mean, 30 FPS for this game isn't the worst thing in the world. But the bigger story here for me is whenever something like this happens on Xbox or PlayStation, it is crazy outrage. And sometimes it really kills the game. You think about a game like Gotham Knights, where 30 FPS discussions before that game released on the consoles had a huge part in killing that game. With a Nintendo game, people really just don't care as much about that. This game has a better performance on the GameCube, which is multiple generations behind, and they're giving a 30 FPS version for some reason on the Nintendo Switch. I'm guessing it's because of the higher resolutions and they're improving the way that it looks overall. So they just kept it at 30 FPS to make it better optimized. But this is the biggest difference. Gamers for the Switch, they don't really care. They're going to go pick this game up at 30 FPS. There probably isn't going to be a major fuss. And if there is, it'll be a small fuss online, but it's still going to sell tons and tons of copies because it's a phenomenal game. And people look at Paper Mario, they look at the Thousand-Year Door, they look at just Super Mario in general, and it just clicks about how good and how fun the gameplay is. And that's why that supersedes any of this performance and resolution talk that you don't really see too much happen with the Switch. And if it does happen, it doesn't affect the sales. I mean, you even think about the Pokemon games when they came out, they look like they're PS2 games and they still sold an insane amount of copies. So it will be cool to track this and see if maybe this time there is an effect, but I doubt there will be too much of effect on how well this game does. And then finally, just some more info about developers preparing for the Switch 2. All of those Sega reboots that we did hear about at the Game Awards show, which one of my favorite announcements at the show, games like Jet Set Radio coming back, all of those are being remade as well for the Nintendo Switch 2, which just points to more info here that this thing is a lot closer than further away. And this comes via the proven Sega Atlas leaker Midori, who has gotten a lot of stuff right when it comes to Alice, and commenting on the slate of remakes in the works over at Sega, and says that all of them are destined for the successor for the Nintendo Switch. This means Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe, Shinobi, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, that are all being revived, all coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's going to be cool. Happy to see that there. Once the Switch 2 drops, we'll start getting those real comparisons between the Series X, the PS5, and the Switch 2, how all of these versions do end up running. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.